and welcome everybody to tonight's show. We are Freedom Central, broadcasting to you live on Finding Voices Radio. My name is Mel V, and I'll be your host for the next 2 hours. And of course, dealing with all the technical matters and hosting the Finding Voices Radio online chat forum is my wonderful partner, Richard.
Hello everybody, welcome to the show tonight.
Sure, so everyone who wants to have a chat to us, please do log on to the forum, findingvoicesradio.com, and send in your contributions and questions, and we promise to try and get to them all. And of course, hello to our station manager, Jeroen Grijs, and our regular Finding Voices Radio listeners. And of course, welcome to all the new folks who have tuned in to us tonight for what is, without a doubt, the most exciting show of 2013 yet. Because tonight, of course, joining us live on air via Skype is two very special individuals, Heather and Tucci-Jarraf and Angel Lucci, two beautiful beings who have much wonderful information to share with us. So what I'm going to do, before I do an introduction, I'm going to just go straight over to Skype and bring these two people in to chat to us. Bringing them in. Hello, Heather.
Hi, Mel. Hello, Angel.
Hi, Angel. Hello to you both. You're coming through loud and clear, and you're live on Finding Voices Radio. Thank you both very much for joining me tonight.
No, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Okay, Angel, you're in Fort Worth in Texas. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the time there is midday now.
Yeah, it's 12 noon.
Okay.
Oh, after.
Angel, where about are you? I beg your pardon. Heather, where about are you?
I'm on Morocco right now.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, right. To get started, I just wanted to say I've come to know you two through Facebook and online through the campaign that Lisa Harrison launched, which is the OPPT, which is the One People's Public Trust, and the opt-in campaign, and it's just gone wild. And of course it should do, because it is a massive thing that has just come into the limelight over the last month or so. And basically it's due to some wonderful and amazing accomplishments on your side, Heather, and I'd really like for you to take us through the journey you've been on and how you came to be sort of on this path communicating this information.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Let's see. It started out with working in the bank, trade, and finance. I mean, it started way before, and it's a long story. That whole story will come out later. But actually, why don't we delve into the bank, trade, and finance which is the part. It's a matter of saying, are things corrupt? Is there fraud? It was a matter of, okay, how do we...
Nobody can hear her.
Hold on, I'm going to stop you for 1 second. Heather?
Was actually something that...
Heather, I'm sorry. You're not coming through very clear, I'm afraid. We can't hear you this side at all. Can you try for us again?
Okay. We're going to have some technical difficulties here, I think.
Yeah, no, you're fine now. You're absolutely fine now.
Okay. Okay, well, make this short. OPPT, what it did was basically wade through all the crap that's out there, all the disinfo, all the info, and it was an amazing collaborative effort amongst people that are within the slavery system, that run the slavery system, and that are victims of the slavery system. And through those efforts, everything was shut down. So there's nothing left for anyone to do with the old systems, with the powers that were, other than be. I know people don't know how effective and what it is that they're actually causing by them just being and doing.
Okay. You were yourself legally trained, is that correct, Heather?
Yeah, actually, I'm the only one out of the three of us that has any legal training.
Okay, all right.
Is a quote. Caleb is a code writer.
Okay, it's not. You're not coming through very clear. I'm just going to clarify. What you guys have done is basically take the legal system, from what I've understood, and turn it on its head by effectively using the due process to sort of annul an entire code of operation within the business environment. Angel, are you still with me? Heather's dropped off.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I was wondering if maybe you could perhaps fill us in on a little bit more of the details.
I know my first seeing the official announcement was on the day after Christmas. And, you know, for probably 30 years, I've followed the conspiracy theories, you know. And I pretty much knew this day was coming. And when I read this day after Christmas, I was jumping around. I didn't understand it totally, but I knew it was the real deal. I knew this was the real thing. And it was just intuitive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as it was for me, which is obviously why I'm so keen to speak to you guys and understand. I'm sorry for those listeners who are listening to hear Heather speak, but she's been saying to me, since they have actually launched this One People's Public Trust on the 25th of December, she has had ongoing problems with communications via Skype and other things. It's been very difficult. They seem to have, it's become stepped up in a way, as she said to me earlier.
Sure.
So, just want to understand.
What I talk about.
Yeah, I just really want to sort of understand and give people an understanding of what this means and how this has been done, because no one really kind of gets what this is all about.
Okay. Well, from my understanding of just reading documents and knowing what they've done, they've basically foreclosed upon every corporation, every nation, every, government. And that goes from city governments to county governments to state governments, all the way up to, federal governments and national governments.
Okay.
But anyway, they foreclosed on them. And so now we're starting from square one again, I understand, with a new, everything. We don't even have to have a government if we don't want one. Okay. That's the way I'm seeing it.
So what you're saying is legally the parameters have existed where we've done away with the old regime.
We have. The old systems are foreclosed upon and registered duly bankrupt.
So what does this mean now for us? How do we enforce this? I mean, they don't, it's like, in the old slave, I grew up in South Africa, okay? And there were a lot of Africans that went through the whole, they had to have a pass on them to be in certain areas of, say, Johannesburg, for example. And when those passports were done away with, some of them were still carrying their passes with them because they couldn't read and write and didn't understand the media. They were doing this for like years afterwards. They still wore their little special stars that they had to wear to show that they were registered and a little number on it. For years afterwards, I still saw these guys, and it's just simply because they didn't know. And are we now in that phase where basically we are legally free and we're just running around still in the old system, and we need to now stop doing it?
Yeah. See, they're getting ready. I mean, I understand about the CVACs, which are the Creator Value Asset Centers, and that's what they've set up for every nation, I understand. And we're getting ready within the next probably less than 2 weeks. We're going to have one active where we're going to be accessing the funds, I understand, and we're going to see how this thing works. I think it's going to be a gradual process for a lot of people. As you learn and you come in, you opt in, OPPT in, whatever, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
I think that's how it's going to go. We're going to start being and doing freely. And however they do it, because we don't have all the parameters of operations set up and everything, but they do have the CVACs operating. I mean, they're up and ready with all the systems, the banking systems, all the communication systems and everything. I mean, they're owned by the people now. They're all owned by the people.
Okay.
And
so the question
there's
is...
a wake-up process. There's a wake-up process. It might take 6 months. It might take, a year. I don't know.
Yeah. The question everybody's asking, and it's repeatedly coming through, I'm sorry, I'm blinging up here, and everyone wants to know, can you explain the CVACs and how we activate them in various countries?
Well, I can't speak to it. That's why I was hoping we'd have Heather here. I can tell you a little bit about them just from what I've read about the CVACs.
Sure.
And the documents are up on the One People Public Trust. Hold on, I'm going to go to that page. I've got it. Yeah, well, it's the Declaration and Order, which is found on the One People's Public Trust page, 1776.org, I think. One People's Public Trust, 1776.org. And it's the Declaration and Order where it has CVAC written under it. And you can pull that down from there. But from what I'm understanding, the CVACs, which are basically, I guess, our government foundation or framework, as they're calling it, where all the authority and authorization, everything has been placed back into the hands of the people. I was reading down here, it says, it's by Declaration and Order, it says the Creator's Value Asset Centers duly established and validated upon creation with any and all value of the Creator, duly ratified and reconfirmed on deposit and fully unencumbered, as originally domiciled therein equally by creation, and all other value asset centers duly established and validated by creation in any and all manifestations in existence, known and unknown. So that's pretty much what they did, and all that, and it says all the states of body, UCC docs, and they give you the number and everything. So, I mean, they've established this, and now we're in just the very beginning stages of getting ready to implement it. On that call the other night from 129 on Lisa Harrison's show, and I got excited when I heard that. They've got the transcripts out there now too, but they said, let's do it. I remember they all agreed, and Heather was right there, and she said, let's do it. And everybody got excited. I heard their Skype was going crazy. Yes, and then we started that Rip the Band-Aid Off campaign. Let's rip it off. I think not only the American people, but the people of the world, I think, are mature enough, and spiritually mature enough even, because of the energies that are, operating on the planet now and in the atmosphere. I think we can handle being told the full truth and nothing but the truth. I've always been one, part of my Streets of Love Unconventional. On my card, I said, speaker of truth to your spirit. And I don't lie, and I don't like to be lied to.
For sure. Angel, you know what? You absolutely deserve your place on Freedom Central's archive. You've got my spirit, man. Absolutely. Now, this is such wonderful news for people like ourselves who've been down this journey, who've been looking at sort of the darkness that controls this planet and wondering, oh my word, when is the break going to come that we actually are going to be able to legitimately turn the system on the head? And do you reckon this is it?
Oh, I reckon this is it. Yeah, I went down to file my affidavit in the courthouse, and it's the public records, anything that you put into the public record, it's there for the public to put in, and nobody can tell you to do it or not to do it. And I go down there to the courthouse in Fort Worth, Texas, and the court clerk just refused. She says, no. She looked at it and she said, what is it? I said, it's my paperwork as a beneficiary of the One People's Public Trust. I'm putting in an affidavit. She says, we can't take this. And I said, excuse me? I said, this is the public records, isn't it? And so she just flatly denied. She said, well, the district attorney said. And I said, I'm sorry, but the district attorney does not represent me. I've never hired him to represent me. I'd like to file my public records. Well, then, she wouldn't do it. So I said, excuse me. And I went out, and there was two sheriffs there because it's just like an airport coming into courthouses anymore. It's a wonder they don't get, never mind. Anyway, I said, sheriffs, I said, I need your assistance. I said, I've got a clerk of the court here who's incompetent, and I'd like her removed. And they both looked at me and said, sorry, we can't do that. I said, well, I'm commanding you, I'm asking you and demanding you as one of the people, and you're under my authority. Please come and take this person out of here. She's an imposter. They wouldn't do it. So, that's okay. I said, okay, I'll be back. But haven't gone back yet.
Wow. Okay, well, that's, you obviously know your stuff and your stance, and that's very, very, very strong of you, Angel. Now, let's walk people through exactly what you suggest they start to do with the paperwork. Step by step. Let's talk to the average Joe who's probably never filed anything before. What do you recommend they do now?
Well, let me step back, and let me read a little bit more here. It says the purpose of the CVAC. Let me give you this, because this might help everybody. It says, by declaration and order, the purpose of CVAC, which is Creators Value Asset Centers, because we're all creators, and our value is an asset, and this is where it's being held right now. Like they've been saying, we are the gold. We do, and we are the value of the gold and the silver and everything on the planet. because it all resides within us, and they all have energy. But here's what the purpose of the CVAC is to do. It's to, one, preserve and protect any and all value of creation, inclusive of the value of the Creator. And that includes all of us. Inclusive of any and all value asset centers there too. Two, it's to preserve, protect, and implement the right of opportunity of free will of each, any, and all creation's manifestations in any existence, known and unknown. So it covers everything, okay? Three, the CVAC is to simplify and unify the laws governing any and all of creation's manifestations in any and all existence, known and unknown, and enter said governing laws into international law ordinance, noticed by public registration for all creation to rely upon. So see, it's all been established and it's all been registered in the proper venues of the world for all of us. It says, four, to irrevocably ensure lawful and transparent existence, coexistence, knowledge, co-knowledge, custody, co-custody, operation, cooperation, use and co-use thereof, inclusive of any and all tracking, transfer, appointment, assignment, gift, and growth therefrom under the laws of creation, for the highest good of all, under full personal liability of creation value asset centers in any and all existence and manifestation, known and unknown. And five, to permit the right of opportunity to lawfully ledger and account to zero any and all liabilities that may and do exist in any and all unlawful or structures inferior to the lawful structure, inclusive of all owners, participants, and recipients thereto, thereunder and thereof, that may and do exist. So, I mean, that's pretty concise, I think, as to what the CVAC is to do. And it's there for us. It's our right. It's the law. It's the supreme law of the land now. The law of one, universal law, common law.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. Let's take people back to the basics. Can you explain to us a little bit more about universal law, common law, the law of one?
Okay. I've read some of that, but common law, as I understand it, which is it's the foundation law along with the law of one and universal law. But basically, if you've done nothing to hurt anybody, and if you've done nothing to damage anybody's property or taken somebody's property, then you've broken no laws. The only laws that exist under common law is, I guess, the law of yourself, the law of one. And you might even know a little bit, more about that than I do.
Yeah.
But I understand it. We're all one. The law of one. We are all one. We are all equal co-creators with the Creator, and there is nobody that has authority over anyone else on the planet, and that includes any old slavery system authority that we used to give authority to. And there again, people only have authority over you if you give them that authority.
Okay.
I do believe we're going to have a transition. I mean, there's got to be a transition because everybody's got to be awake. Everybody's got to be woke up. And that's why we're talking about just rip the Band-Aid off and let's get this thing going. Let everybody know we'll all heal from it. I think everybody's capable of healing from this.
Yeah. All right, okay. So I've obviously come to understand through my own personal emancipation, mentally, physically, moving out of the corporate world and various elements of professional media. I've come to know sort of like personal freedom, and this is wonderful because I think it brings it more home to a place where it actually can manifest more realistically without us sort of living with one foot in the matrix whilst trying to definitely get the rest of us out. But the thing that concerns me is we've obviously now it's been established in documentation, this law of one, universal law, but it's always been there. It's been endowed to us by a Creator. It can't be given to us by anyone, and it can't be taken away. It has been impinged upon before by Vatican doctrine and things like the Sestuer Kivi trusts. How is it now that these laws supersede what these people have actually come to put upon us, and how do we enforce that? What does it mean? What if they start coming after us with their armies, etc.? Have we thought about that?
Well, I have, because I know we still live in a system that everybody thinks it's it's still set up the way it was, and it's not. Yeah, it's going to have to be an individual thing, and the way I'm seeing it. And then right now, we are getting it around the world. I mean, I only put my blog up like 5 days ago, and it's already up almost 2,500 people, and it's been blowing up. I must have 40, 60 countries, 70 countries in just 5 days hitting my blog. Who would have thought? And I think it's happening all around the world. People are waking up.
Yeah, for sure.
But what you're saying about that, we're just going to have to do it individually. They say there's really nothing we have to file. I mean, the documentation itself and the laws that were established through the UCC and through the One People's Public Trust basically set us all free. And so that is the law of the land now, just bringing up those things. And that's what, a lot of those forms out there where people are filing the UCC forms and other documentation like that. I've heard Heather say there's really no need to do that. But for people who are in currently predicaments and problems with the courts or with the police departments or whatever they're going through, it gives them at least a way initially until all this is established to put it on hold for a little bit of time. Because once you file these papers, and there's all kinds of information out there right now, affidavits, templates on Kawia Pele's site. He's got a file out there and a blog that shows all of that.
All right, so basically, people at the moment, I agree. I sort of don't understand. This is what I'm trying to get to. Do we individually need to go and file paperwork? And you've just said, no, we don't. So particularly, and I have a lot of people who I deal with through my work who are fighting various court battles. One particular lady, she's a very good friend of mine, has had a child wrongfully taken away from her, kidnapping by the state, taken back to Canada. And of course, she's following this very closely. And she was the one who initially brought the story to my attention. And what I want to understand is, can we use this for people who are in situations where, for example, she's trying to get her child back that was wrongfully taken from her?
Sure, I understand. Yeah, I don't see why we can't. I mean, there's other people that are more knowledgeable about me on filing paperwork and all. I did my own affidavit, and I had been working on one even before the One People's Public Trust came out. And when that came out, that just gave me, I saw what it was. It's the whole thing. I mean, we're free. We are really, really free. And everything that's coming out right now, I mean, they've been double dipping. I mean, I don't know if you've read any of the Judge Dale information, and that's also out on my blog and others.
Yeah. No, do share.
Yeah, well, everything's been fraud. Everything has. The utility companies, the governments, banks, everything, they've been actually accessing our trust, and everything has been set up in perpetuity since 1776, when our country founded here in America. But we have a public trust, and why they incorporated everything, the way I'm understanding it, everything was done by corporations, so they could then take us, our paperwork, our birth certificate, which is our straw man, and they were trading them as mutual funds on the stock exchange and actually accessing our accounts and getting money for our utility bills, hospitalization, your mortgage. Your mortgage is paid off by the government because it's in the trust. All that stuff. Then they turn around and they're billing us, and they're not really, it's a statement. It's not a bill, it's a statement, but we send them money every month. We don't have to do that. Everything's been paid for by the trust. So one of the things I'm seeing going on now is writing on your bills. You've been made bankrupt. You're bankrupt and you're foreclosed upon. Put down the One People's Public Trust. Contact my trustee. I mean, that'll put them off for several weeks, but we're getting ready to start doing all of our bills like that. I'm going to get a stamp made. Boom, stamp it on there. But everything, they've been double dipping for years, since 1933, if not longer. They've been double dipping on the people. They get everything paid for, and then they get the people to send them even more money. Because the monies that are in our trust, I understand, can't even be used to fight wars. It can't be used for a lot of things. They've been getting the money from the people through taxation and everything else to do what they want to do their wars and everything, their black operations. There's no taxes, but yeah, they collected them. Why? Because they need the money. They're greedy. Yeah. The bankers are greedy. But remember, they're no longer in power. What we're seeing here, we're in the middle of a period where there's two basically systems running. There's the old system that's been bankrupt upon, which is still operating because nobody is telling the people that it's not, operating anymore. And they're going to go on doing it until we, the people, from a grassroots level, and then from the top down as they're making the changes. I really think what we're seeing worldwide is the governments are all changed. We're seeing it in the news. We're seeing governments being overthrown, governments being changed, new leaders coming up. Our government in the background, it's still all a facade that we watch on the media and we watch on television. It's a facade. It's a play. It's an act. And they're just trying to get everything done so they can implement it and say, okay, now's the time. And I'm hoping we hear something with President Obama's State of the Union address, which is tomorrow night, I understand. And I'm hoping, because they said a lot. They said a lot during the inaugural address. And I don't know if you were familiar with watching it and everything.
Yes, I did briefly.
Exciting. Yeah, Lamar Alexander had a wonderful speech. I'm going to try to pull it up right now.
And they obviously know what's going on in the background.
Absolutely. I think everything's being done behind closed doors because, the more you read. Okay, here it is. It's called, I put this together. It says, "We the people demand that OPPT be addressed at the State of the Union address." And I put up at the top where, out of the official announcement where it was duly verified and issued on December 25th about the One People's Public Trust. But here's what I wrote. It says, "We the people respectfully demand of the President of the Republic of the United States of America to bring the full truth out about the One People's Public Trust, about the treason that has occurred since the beginning, and about the peaceable exchange of government from the corporate, all caps, United States of America, to the Republic of the people, by the people, and for the people." Now here is just a part of Lamar Alexander's speech. It says, "Today, we praise the American tradition of transferring or reaffirming immense power as we inaugurate the President of the United States. We do this in a peaceful, orderly way. There is no mob. There's no coup, no insurrection. This is a moment when millions stop and watch, a moment most of us will always remember." And it goes down. That was from the speech of Lamar Alexander, who's a senator from Tennessee. He's been there a long time, too long. And then I said, "Mr. Obama, President Obama, in your own speech, we affirmed the promise of our democracy. We recall that what binds the nation together is not the color of our skin or the tenets of our faith or the origin of our names. What makes us exceptional, what makes us American, and I'm going to say what makes us people of the world, is our allegiance to an idea articulated in a declaration made more than 2 centuries ago. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that all are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, we continue a never-ending journey to bridge the meaning of those words with the realities of our time. For history tells us that while these truths may be self-evident, they have never been self-executing. And while freedom is a gift from God, it must be secured by His people here on earth. The patriots of 1776 did not fight to replace the tyranny of a king with the privileges of a few or the rule of a mob. They gave us a republic, a government of and by and for the people, entrusting each generation to keep safe our founding creed." And that's pretty powerful. And the whole speech was like that. And I really think what we're getting ready to see is the transition, the transferring of immense power of a government. And he went on to talk about it's being done peaceably, and let us as Americans show the rest of the world how it's done, in proper order. So even though we're hearing things about, we're going to socialism, where the world's a mess and everything's falling apart and the government's putting all these new taxes on people, and yeah, they are. But also in the background, it's gone away. It's actually being stripped down. And I think we will eventually get to the announcements. And I'm hoping tomorrow night. Wouldn't that be nice?
Wow, wouldn't that be? And what, of course, if he doesn't mention anything? What is your thoughts then?
Well, it's just not time, is it?
Yeah.
I still see a big grassroots effort going, but according to, what I understood from Heather, we're going to have those CVACs up and running in less than 2 weeks, and being able as beneficiaries, and every living person every soul, not person, but every living soul on the planet is a beneficiary of the one people's public trust. And all the wealth of the world, the gold, the silver, the treasures that have been collected since the earth had people put on it, is now equally divided among all people of the world.
Okay.
You know, it's us.
So, of course,
We are the government.
the CVAX get set up, and then how do we feed ourselves and put petrol in our car? Is this completely removed out of a monetary system?
You know, I think they're going to go digital. That's what I'm understanding from what just that conversation with Lisa and them from the other day. It looks like some kind of digital system's going to be in place where, you know, go have fun, be and do. And don't worry about where the bread's coming from and where the gasoline's going to come from. I think all this will be coming. Good. The ones who are going to opt in and do this are going to be the ones, you know.
And of course, this is assuming that, say, businesses also decide to opt in. We'll only be able to work with other businesses who operate on the system. But is that going to be the businesses that provide things like petroleum products, which obviously still powers our planet?
Sure, I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, you know, if I was setting it up and was seeing it from a perspective, I'd a debit card to your trust funds. Just a debit card. You can go anywhere you want. I mean, we've got systems set up, you know, and we've got financial systems set up, and it all belongs to the people now. Here's another article I put together. It's called Creator Value Asset Centers, and I know this came from Source, but I said the beginning of self-governance. And that's what we're getting ready to do. I see all of us. We're all going to be accountable, responsible, and the ones who are going to put, you know, this into motion. And whatever we create as creators, whatever we manifest as creators, we're going to be totally responsible for it and accountable for what we create. You know, you create something bad that's going to harm others or do wrong to people, then you'll probably go to jail. I mean, I'm sure they'll still have jails. But if you're doing whatever you want to do, you've got full reign, full freedom to create whatever you want. But here's what I pulled out. It's just a little section out of that 2-hour show. It's a couple paragraphs. But let me read this because I got excited when I saw this. This is Heather talking. She says, that's where all the data is highlighting right now. And that's why this morning I asked in the Skype room, how much fun do you guys choose to have? Because I've got Italy, who's ready to hold elections on their CVAX. And you have Australia that's asking. I have Sign, I don't know who that is, but Sign and other people offering to take positions in a CVAC. And so what I would like to do, and what I propose to every listener, to every person on this planet is, let's get some kind of technology together. Because I'm not a wizard in the techie side, but let's get the people together and just say, okay, here's the framework. And I can explain this is how the framework works, meaning it's just a safe harbor. Now, all of you beautiful people, bring all your talent, all your energy in, and let's get this thing working and moving. We have Caleb, who is a wonderful code writer, who can do all the code writing because that's a lot of code writing for the financial systems. So if we pull them all together, your CVACs are up and running within about 2-week period. Lisa said, wow. Heather said, you can exchange value for a bag of bread, for gardening, or whatever it is maybe, even up to a car. It just depends on how the spiritual vendors, so to speak, the ones that are in the slavery system from before, a lot of them are very spiritual, and they want to see a different system. So all of a sudden you have all these products that you think are not obtainable, whether it's a car, whether it's energy, weather, and what I mean by energy is for your house. Until you guys figure out, and we all figure out, how to light our houses from within ourselves, there are certain things that people need. And what I'd like to make it so, they don't need them, they have them. And Lisa said, my Skype is going off with people sending messages, you know, listening to the show saying, yes, yes, yes. Heather said, all right, let's do it then. So that was on the 29th of January, just a few days ago. And 2 weeks, within about 2 weeks, we should see this thing up and running. And all the CVACs, all the people, we are the CVACs. We are the ones who are going to put it together. We are the ones who are going to be working in it. So the ones who are hearing this today and knowing that this is happening, you know, get online, get in the public forum, start reading everything you get your hands on, and start letting others know. Start getting involved. Just be and do. You know? I mean, it's just the way it is. I'm a trainer by trade. I've been in since '78. I've been a training specialist, technical trainer, and I've been in NASA, petrochemical, aerospace, pulp and paper. I've been in a lot of industries. And when I saw this thing, and I saw and started understanding just through the blogs and through Facebook and everything, I noticed people were not understanding. They were reading this and getting frustrated. Because what's all this legal mumbo jumbo? And it's not. I didn't see it as legalese. I saw it as words. You got to stop at the commas, understand between the commas, and go on. And if you don't understand what a word is, look it up. Duly is a very powerful word. It's in there a dozen times. Duly bankrupt, duly, registered in commerce. It means as it should be, as is required, as it's supposed to be. Duly.
Okay, now this is all fair enough, but do you not think there's going to be some kind of backlash in terms of, I don't know, I just don't see the powers that be letting go. Do you not think there's going to be some kind of violent backlash because of us now taking over a different system?
I don't think so. I really don't think so, because if it's going to go the way we're going, we can opt in and we can get into the system. I mean, who's going to know other than if we tell them? Because if we just have a debit card and we're scanning a debit card, I mean, you got to remember the banks are under the people's right now too. And what I've read and understand, and I've been following this for like about 3 years. I've been saying for about 6 years, and this is just me, and I intuit this, but this is where I walk. But I've been saying that governments, all governments, were going to come down through their own greed and corruption. And I look at a world, and we're here. I mean, I'm looking at a world, no borders, no restrictions, no registrations, nothing. I mean, we're going to be free. We're going to be free.
It just, I hear you say that, it almost seems too good to be true. I really hope you are right, because this is all I ever wanted. This is the reason we started Freedom Central, was because all we want is to be free. And if this is it, we should be celebrating right now.
I keep saying we should be out in the streets dancing. I mean, the other day, when I was listening, I listened to it the day after on the 30th. I was home alone. I work out of my house. And, man, I was listening to that. And man, I was just dancing around, I was dancing in my house. I was crying. I was just excited to know that this is happening. And even listening to the inaugural address, I listened to that whole thing all day. And I even pulled down the transcripts and read that whole thing. And while that was going on, I'm sitting here crying, laughing, carrying on, running around in circles saying, yes, yes. Because knowing what I know and knowing what's been done, I could see what he was saying. I mean, he said a lot, but then it could have been rhetoric to other people. Other people, the same old rhetoric, always saying how good, the people, for the people, by the people, blah, blah, blah. But knowing what's been happening, knowing what's going on behind closed doors, it's exciting. And all we're waiting for now is the people and for the announcements, the official announcements to be made. I understand the financial system's only a flick of the switch away. But what's been holding it back? The people. That's what Heather was saying. What's been holding us back is we wanted to get what the energy of the people want. And with this conference that went on the other night on Lisa Harrison's show, what is it called? The
Collective Imagination.
Yes, that's I love it. But that's pretty much, where we're going. We're getting ready to set up this new governance of self-governance, basically.
And Joel, it's just occurred to me.
Even in the thing.
It's occurred to me though. We've been here for a while though. We've been ready. Many of us have been at this place. Suddenly, just having the paperwork and the legal framework in place doesn't just change things. I mean, if theoretically we wanted to make a change, we don't even need to worry about the legalities, because laws only have effect if we allow them to.
True. That's true.
I'm just trying to understand what the difference is now that this paperwork and everything has been filed. What it theoretically, power in a more tangible sense from our side. For those people who can't feed their families. For those people fighting in serious circumstances.
Sure.
What does that mean?
Well, like we said earlier, we've got all those forms out there. I know that, I didn't put them out there, but there's forms out there that people are doing. And it seems like even other people are putting up forums, and very simple ones too. You know, you don't have to use the legalese anymore. Remember, that was the code, was the legalese, and that was conscious deception, CO, conscious deception, DE, code, so CODE. But yeah, all that is no longer necessary. You go in and make your statement as you want, and use the information from like the official announcement at the top and at the bottom where all laws are stated. You know, and why not even just make a copy of that and take it in? But you could write up something you wanted, put down where you're getting your authority, because the authority is right there. Okay, and it's been made the supreme law of the land. Yes, we still have judges that are corrupt. We still have people wanting to hold on to their power. But what's going to keep it if all the people rise up? I don't think we're going to have any problem. Or what if we do it by stealth like we're doing? It's coming down from the top, but it's also got to come up from the bottom. So people will wake up. The people in these slavery systems need to be woke up too. They need to understand that they really are no longer in that. I mean, it's not necessary to do that because they don't even exist.
Okay, all right. Now,
But I'm seeing it, you know, myself even. I've thought about, I'd probably get thrown in jail, but I've thought about like taking that official announcement and stapling it or pounding a courthouse door, you know, just like Martin Luther did back in the Reformation, you know, whenever that was.
wow, that's, you know,
we
but
need to let people up.
I think that's the most powerful thing. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, Angel. This is what I'm trying to get to, is that the powers that be aren't going to be telling the public. We need the public behind us in order to make this change. It's not just going to happen with a handful of us. How do we get that notification to them? And is that quite literally putting up public notice I mean, I'm quite happy to go to a Catholic church and stick up a big fat notice on the door. I've no issue doing that. Do you reckon we should do that?
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, why not? Why not? You know? And look at all the things going on around the world. You know, Canada and a lot of your Indian tribes, indigenous tribes, especially around America, and I'm sure it's in other countries too, they've already kicked the church off their property. They've done that. They've gone in and then this was been over the last year, but they've gone in and chased everybody out. They went and said, this is our property now. It's the property of the people. And they made them get off their reservation. And they made them leave their things. And they said, hey, the property is ours now. We're foreclosing on you. You know, you are foreclosed. And we don't want you in our community anymore. I mean, I've seen that going on. Because of the child abuse and because of other abuses that the indigenous people have gone through over the years. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, of course, I know. We've actually made a documentary film about the subject called Two Rows, which I will send to you. It's a subject that's very close to my heart, is what's gone on in Canada with Indigenous people. Because it's funny, coming from South Africa, we've also got the effects of colonial genocide happening there. So this is a matter I strongly work towards campaigning in awareness of and bringing some resolution to. Now, when you look at that, let's for example, now I'm South African. Let's look at the starving child on the ground who has no food, the person who's dying of some AIDS-related illness that they got from vaccinations. How immediate do you see this affecting them and increasing their quality of life?
There again, you know, it's up to the people, isn't it? Isn't it up to the people to go talk to your neighbor, to go see if that little old woman down the street that, you know, you notice her yard's not mowed, that maybe you should stop by and say, hey, I noticed your yard's not mowed. Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help you? But we can also go out and just let them be aware of what's going on, you know? And here's something, I mean, you know, the internet, and it's gotten, I love it. I mean, here I am talking, halfway around the world, and you are too. And it's made it so that we can be one. We can be one because of the technology that exists today. And we've got access to all that technology for these CVACs. I mean, everything is under the control of the One People's Public Trust. And now it's a matter of the people standing up. Like Heather said, Italy's got people ready to sit. Australia wants to set up the CVAC. They got people ready to do it. We need people to volunteer, people to come up, step up to the plate and say, yeah, let's put this together, and wake the people up. Now, on my blog, I did one thing, and it's called opting in. You know, that's a big campaign Lisa started and everything. Mm-hmm. And I said, the title of the article, just to give you an idea where it's at, It's called People All Over the Earth Are Deciding to Opt In. It's your option. OPPT, shun, your option. I said the One People's Public Trust, OPPT, is the new paradigm of self-governance. Every one of us equally have to make a decision to opt in or opt out. Opt into what you say. Well, opt into the new paradigm of living free. Free to be who you are and to allow others to be who they are. Free to live any lifestyle you choose. Free to travel without licensing and registration requirements. Free to live in your house without fear of bankruptcy or foreclosing. Free to do the work you do because you have a passion and enjoy doing it. Opt into living once again in harmony with all your neighbors in your community. Free to live with all people on the earth peaceably and as one with Source and one with each other. Free to travel to other countries without restrictions, passports, and no fear of sexual assaults in the airport. Free to live as a co-creator with others, being totally transparent, honest, and fully responsible and accountable for your creations. Free to live without worrying about utilities, food, transportation, quality health care, and your basic living needs. Free from the old paradigm slavery systems forever. What if I opt out? Well, why would you want to opt out? It's your option. Just remember, you'll still have to be totally transparent, honest, and responsible, and accountable as a living soul for your creations under the old paradigm slavery system. And that system has been duly foreclosed upon and registered as bankrupt by the One People's Public Trust. No one is forcing you to opt in. It's everyone's free will choice equally on the entire earth. By the way, I make my option. Get on board by signing up now, at optin.com, OPPT-in.com. But that's where we're at. That's what I see as our new world.
So the bottom line is that the world's governments, the world's banks, all the world's operating systems are in effect now bankrupt and they're operating a fraudulent system.
Right, they are unlawful. All currencies of the world are unlawful. It's right there in that first document, the official announcement. All the currencies around the world have been made unlawful. They're not even real anymore. But we're still operating under that old paradigm just because it hasn't totally transcended yet.
So what's the first step? What's the first step for us, like here and now, or in a week or two, is to move on to this electronic system?
Absolutely, yeah. As soon as they get it up and operating, and I'm sure announcements will be forthcoming in the same way it is right now. As the people wake up and are opting in, well, those are the people who are going to be using that new paradigm, living that new paradigm. I'm getting ready to take all my licenses and everything and send them back. I mean, put them in a big envelope, send a copy of the paperwork and everything saying, hey, I'm no longer part of this and you've been foreclosed upon and bankrupt. And give them enough information to go out and do a little research,
Right. Okay. Well, that's great advice, and that's, I think, starting from a practical point of view. Say people with outdated telephone bills that they can't afford to pay, say they've lost their job and they're being asked to pay huge phone bills, for example. Would you recommend they send something to the telephone company?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would do it. I was talking about that earlier too. I'm looking while you're still doing it, but yeah, why not? I mean, I plan on taking the bills. I was talking to my partner, and her and I, we're going to just send them some information on what's going on and show how they've been double dipping. Now, yeah, the person at the bottom who receives the bill, the person that sits there behind the desk and gets it, they probably won't know what you're talking about. They'll receive this stuff and they'll think they're going to take your check and cash it in, but it's not going to happen. And so, send this on up the line. Give it to your supervisor, give it to your manager, give it to your district manager. Somebody up the line knows what's going on.
Wow, okay.
I'm going to look for that while we're still talking.
Just to let you know, Angel, we have 236 listeners coming in from how many different countries?
14.
14 different countries at the moment.
Well, good.
Canada, the States, Israel, Norway, New Zealand, Belgium, Mexico, South America, Africa, Belgium, Austria, Greece, Switzerland, Holland, the UK, Ireland.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
All right. That's pretty good. Let me.
Here's another quote from Heather, real quick. It's a short one. It says, "From the old paradigm banking position right now, the People's Trust and the One People, all equally, have the only valid, lawful, legal, commercial paper worth anything on the planet. And as far as what's backing it, truly what's backing it is prime value. But as of right now, all the gold, silver, and precious metals is backing it." And that was from that conversation on 129 on the collective imagination.
Now, this is something that will perplex people, because suddenly you've claimed ownership of all the gold and precious metals. Well, the One People's Public Trust, we have claimed ownership of it, of all the gold and precious metals. Yet they're still sitting in the banks of people who hold the key, who control all this. How we get that stuff back, and where, and how do we recirculate it into society so that it benefits everybody and not ending up back in the hands of a few again?
Well, you know, in listening to Heather talk and on the different shows and everything, if everything's already been done from the top, and then that means all your bankers up at the very top of the pyramid. Remember, the whole thing about the Illuminati was everything was done in a pyramid, you know, and everybody, all the systems, all the industries, all the corporations, they all had those people at the top, and the ones at the very top knew that everything was a deception.
Yeah.
Now, as you get down, the judges, clerks of the court, you know, city administrators and people like that, they know the truth too. There are people that know the truth. They're just not, you know, the ones down at the bottom don't get that memo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we collect the money over here, but we're also collecting it from the people because it's just extra money for us. That makes our profits go up. You know, it's all been fraud. It's all been fraud and deception. Everything that's been perpetrated upon all the people of the world for thousands of years has been fraud and deception. I mean,
Heather's actually sent in a piece here. She was with us earlier, and she said when all the drama went off with her phone, she said that her video turned on and then the call dropped off. So something was reacting with her device. But she sent in a little piece as well that said the OPPT used their systems to lawfully and legally enter what is, because they unlawfully and illegally entered into what isn't. Their whole system collapsed.
wow.
Okay, so basically they created a system which was totally unlawful, and now we've used from what I've understood, we've used their stipulations, rules and regulations, ways of filing, legal procedures to get to a point where they've managed to foreclose on them. But is there some acceptance from their side that this has happened? I mean, surely there has to be some kind of emotional action for it to actually be in due effect.
Sure. I would think so, and that's what the establishment of the CVACs and turning them on to where we as the beneficiaries can start accessing our funds, which whatever form that is. I mean, it might not be physical gold and silver, because that's what they said. We each had $5 billion just in equity debt in lawful gold and silver. It didn't say anything about dollars. It didn't say anything about, you know, drachmas or anything. You know, it's lawful money, gold and silver. Okay, so the thing that's going on right now, we are that gold. Okay, we are that silver, because as creator source, and we are one with creator source. We are co-creators equally with the creator. And so the value of that lies within us. The gold, the representation of the gold and silver in the planet, is just a representation of our value as creators on this planet. And it was always set up for us to have access and to have living free. It's always been that way. We were deceived. We were deceived by a bunch of smart bankers. A few bloodline families.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. What's interesting is that you said on that is Heather said that the OPPT used the systems they used to accomplish this. It was very simple once you knew where the pressure points and portals were. And in fact, that the people paid for all the systems, the people took them back to prime, 0 point. And the powers that be were all in their dimensions, were left with nothing. All of them. So okay.
Isn't that amazing?
I still am struggling to get my head around this, Angel. It just seems so too good to be true. Theoretically, all the debt of the planet has now been erased.
Right. Everything is gone. I mean, there's no straw men. I understand that during the, and this is just from reading and researching, and you know, I've been a researcher. I can read so fast, and I retain a lot of what I read one time. And if I don't, I read it several times. But I've always sought the truth. I've always, you know, I walk in peace. I've got that peace that surpasses understanding. And I really believe where that came from was when I started asking for it. I wanted peace. I wanted that truth. I wanted the full truth. And, you know, I don't get thoughts in my head. You know, most people I know, your thoughts never stop sometimes. You know, I don't get a thought unless I put a thought in there. Nobody else is responsible for my thoughts. And I don't blame my thoughts on anybody but myself. They're coming from me.
Answer the question coming in. Someone said, if the value is within us, what is the need for a digital system? What is your feedback on that, Angel?
Well, we're making a transition, aren't we? And this is just me talking because I'm not sure. But the way I can see it and envision it is that we have a system we're used to operating with, and it does have an exchange. But that's part of the information that's also coming out is the fact that we really don't. Okay, until we all come up to that understanding that when we exchange our labor among one another for anything we do, it's all equal.
Yeah.
That exchange is equal. So I don't have a problem with seeing, like I was telling my partner this morning, I told Brenda, I said, think about it. If we all, because some of us are going to want to do what we love to do. There are people who are going to want to build cars. There are people who are going to want to build hovercrafts. There's going to be free energy technology available. You're going to do that just to put your labor in there. You're putting your value out there in labor. Okay? We're all equal. So you're doing it for the love of it. You're doing that labor for the love of what you're doing. If everybody does that, then there is no need for exchange of anything because everything would be done where you'd go, if you wanted a car, you'd go to the dealership, take out your car, and drive it off. There's nothing. There's no exchange of nothing. If you need bread, you go to your neighbor or you go wherever that's being done. I mean, don't you see us maybe going more to community living?
Yeah.
Instead of these big corporations having poison foods come out and foods with no substance to it, no vitamins or minerals or nothing, and they're dead food, empty food.
Absolutely. Completely. I agree with the fact that we need to get more into community living, but theoretically, for the moment, half the world's population still lives a very insular lifestyle because they choose to live in cities, which isn't, cities are not community living.
No, I don't think so either. But there again, you got an apartment building and, you got a garden on top or gardens around it and all the neighbors are working together to make it a nice community. You have, within cities, you do have little communities. You have people that live. I live outside Fort Worth, but I'm still in a community.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Sure, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get a look at all the angles of this. It just seems, the things we're talking about are ideas that we've been looking at now for about 5 years. This isn't new to me. This is what we've been aiming for. And it seems like here we've arrived at the doorstep. And only because suddenly it seems to be legal and lawful to do it based on paperwork that's been filed through a system which has been used against itself. Am I correct?
Right. That's what it sounds like, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Wow, it just seems so too good to be true. And I guess the only way we're going to work this out is by actually setting up these CVACs and getting them up and running. And we certainly want to help, specifically with South Africa in whatever way we can in getting this up for the people there to start using in their communities and trading amongst themselves.
Right, and what Heather said, the CVACs have already been established for all 194 countries, okay? That's how many they put in there for every country of the world. So now it's just a matter of the people standing up and saying, okay, we're ready to do this thing. And that's what Heather's working on right now with the code writers and everything is to get this system set up so we can start accessing our account.
Okay. So hold on one second. I want to stop you there. Can I stop you there? I want to ask you. You say Heather has actually established the CVACs for all the countries of the world. How has she actually gone about doing that? Do you have any idea?
Well, it's been done through the law. It's already been done. It's through that authorization I said about the CVACs. Everything's been done already. On the... Let me find it again. Oh, it's on the PDF file. Yeah, basically the CVAC, Declaration and Order, they did that back when this order. They established all the CVACs,
Okay.
Which means they have it. Yeah, it was done through the trustees. Trustees did it.
So it's there and ready for us to use?
Yeah, it's there and ready for us to use, and in 2 weeks we will be using them.
Do you see any potential backfiring from the governments of our planet?
Well, the way I see it, I've been pretty much all my life I've been free. Now, have I had to deal with things? Yeah, I've dealt with the IRS a couple times. I didn't file for a few years ago, and I came out smelling like a rose on that one. But I got back into the system. I shouldn't have, but I did. And not knowing as much as I know today. But for the last 2 years, no, I'm not. I went out 2 years ago. I quit almost a $50 an hour job because I was just tired of the corporate. I was tired of the corporation. It was just time for me to do it. Once we get this, I think once we have these CVACs up and running, you're going to be able to access your funds to start manufacturing free energy technology, to start doing the things that you want to do. If it's just, retiring, whatever you want to do. Now, I plan on getting in that RV. We're thinking about it, and I'm thinking we're planning, but to get in that RV and to take off. And I'm going to go from little city to little city, little towns to towns, and I'm going to be doing presentations of using the presentation I put together. Because it's something just to get people to wake up. Every time I'm out, I talk to somebody about this, and I just say, hey, here's where you can go. Here's a presentation. Start there, because it breaks it down, tells you a little bit of history, and tells you what's going on. Merry Christmas. Because we had a great Christmas present given to us, the whole world. And I was thinking the dinars were coming through and all that, and now I know otherwise. But, I went out and set myself up so I could live on about $500-600 a month. I bought a 1988 Fleetwood Bounder for I bought it on eBay, buy it now, got a good deal, and it's washer and dryer and everything. So the last 2 years I was living out in the country. Last year I had the biggest garden I've ever had in my life, and all summer I ate from my garden. I like to drink beer. I don't drink a lot of beer, but I still drank beer, but I didn't drink as much beer. You know what I'm saying? Because I went from making $8,000, a week, down to, living on $500-600 a month. So I just changed my lifestyle. And then I had my own little Occupy movement. I didn't know that was coming up, but it worked out good. I just quit paying everything. I told them, I'm not paying you nothing. Nobody. But I still had to pay rent for the person I was renting from, and even though I exchanged some months, I could, exchange labor for rent, We have to go back to bartering and stuff like that. But, once we get this, I think once we have these CVACs up and running, you're going to be able to access your funds to start manufacturing free energy technology, to start doing the things that you want to do. If it's just, retiring, whatever you want to do. Now, I plan on getting in that RV. We're thinking about it, and I'm thinking we're planning, but to get in that RV and to take off. And I'm going to go from little city to little city, little towns to towns, and I'm going to be doing presentations of using the presentation I put together. Because it's something just to get people to wake up. Every time I'm out, I talk to somebody about this, and I just say, hey, here's where you can go. Here's a presentation. Start there, because it breaks it down, tells you a little bit of history, and tells you what's going on. Merry Christmas. Because we had a great Christmas present given to us, the whole world.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. Angel, you're going to come over to Holland and do some presentations here.
I would love it. I plan on going to Europe. I've got friends in England and stuff, and and I'm a biker. I ride a bike. That's all I own right now. They repossessed my car. But that's okay. That's okay, because, we just got repaid for that, didn't we?
Well, I love what you're saying about the trade and barter, because, we run a little media company ourselves, and we do obviously do some commercial work to survive. You got to have petrol in the tank to get around. But, we work out deals with people, and actually this last week I finished off a commercial for a health food store, a local sort of family-run health food store, and we traded them for products within their store. We didn't work through money at all. And to me, I think that's a good example of sort of, thinking, doing business with people and trading for stuff you need, because, it's, I love everything in their store, and I just seem to, we would probably spend anything they paid us to do the work back there over time. So, I think everybody needs to start thinking outside the box and looking at how and positioning themselves in a way that they've got some form of value to exchange in trade and barter, because I don't necessarily see people giving things away if there isn't something reciprocal. And
Right.
to trying to get people to move off an entire monetary system, it's not going to happen overnight. There are still people who are very, very religious, still very mentally invested in, a monetary and its emotional value through ego. It's not going to happen overnight that we're going to get all the businesses around us that we need to survive and function to suddenly stop using money and start using a value-created system.
But it will be us. It will be the people that are awakened, that are awake, and also the ones who decide to get involved, to opt in to the OPPT. And we'll be the ones who will start living our lives like that, free to do whatever we want. And what will it be? I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking a debit card. I'm thinking, why not? I mean, we use them all the time. We've got the system set up for debits, but eventually, that will even cease, It's given us an opportunity to start now among ourselves, among the people that are awake, to start living like that. But then you go somewhere that you can't trade somebody. Well, you pull your debit card out and you do it. And you just took the credits and right out of your account. I mean, your lawful gold and silver.
There's been so much unfortunate press that's gone out about cashless systems. Obviously, because the RFID chip, people are afraid of an electronic system and getting rid of cash. How would you explain the difference between sort of a system that would be run with by those who were implanting the RFID chips, which would theoretically be an enslavement system, and an electronic system, a cashless system, whereby all of this was running? And of course, the other thing is, how could we guarantee that that never became corrupted? Angel, are you still there? I appear to have lost Angel. Let me ring him back in.
Every time that happens, I hear you clearly for another 30 seconds.
No worries, man. Okay, we got you back. Did you hear that question?
Well, yes, I did hear the question. And what do we see happening? What, say it one more time.
People have been made very afraid of the whole concept of a cashless system because it's the whole New World Order concept.
Sure. Well, the New World Order doesn't exist anymore. One of the things I do, I see that stuff because I'm a researcher. I see things. And what I've said for years, and it's so simple, we're all intuitive. We can all intuit the truth. And all we have to do is, and the little thing I say to people is, if it's trying to control you, if it's condemning, if it's division, if it's trying to put division between the people, if it's trying to make you fearful, then that's not the truth. That's not real. That's not of the source. But if it's edifying, if it's doing something that's going to better you or change you in a better way, and there's no manipulation, there's no control, there's none of that involved, then that is usually the truth. And when you're reading, go with what you feel. If you feel that that's BS, it's BS. If you feel that, man, that really touched my soul, well, guess what? It touched your soul, touched your spirit. That's how I distinguish between what's true and what's false. And then whatever we put our energy towards, and you know this too, and I think a lot of people do, whatever you focus on and put energy toward, you're going to draw it toward you. When I'm out, I'm not afraid of the police. I'm not afraid of police officers. I don't care who they are. If I'm out doing stuff, I'll talk to them. I'll even talk to them, about anything. I'm not afraid of them. They're people. And I have found, once you do that, I've been pulled over by police officers. I just extended a hand of friendship to them and said, hey, what's your name, man? I'm thinking about you, and you do your job well, and you be safe out there, and be right with the people. Just talk to people like that. But I've been pulled over, and they said, oh, it's you. They had every right to bust me. I was out partying. It was my birthday or something. But, they had every right to throw me in jail. But they didn't. They said, oh, it's you, Angel. How you doing? I said, good, man. How you been, brother? But that's because I'm a people person. I go out and I talk to everybody,
Yeah. And you know what? There's a very valuable piece of advice, because I think, we can do so much more just by reaching out and being friendly than holding back and being afraid of people who perhaps aren't like us, who aren't of our understanding. And then it is our duty, and I think it's now become our place to sort of start telling them, are you really happy with what's going on around you? And yes, there are solutions to make a positive change. But Angel, the people out there are still very afraid, and it still seems like a very big concept to wrap your head around.
Sure, I understand. And you're right on with what you're saying. It is. But that starts within us, doesn't it? Peace lies within our own heart. And there's no reason to be fearful of anything. There's no reason. It's false evidence appearing real. If we could just understand I've been in situations where I shouldn't have been there. I mean, as a biker and as one that goes out and you know, I came out of the church. I left the church, a big church too, about 7-8 years ago. And it was just because I got to that place where I wasn't going to listen to anybody else. I was just going to listen to my higher conscience, my higher source within me. Because I was getting mixed signals and mixed information, you know, of something that the church shouldn't even be going into if you're a man of God or whatever you want to call it. So I just totally walked away, but I had been seeking the fullness of God's love. You know, I wanted its width, its depth, its length, and its height, you know, and as I kept seeking it, my family, it just fell apart. It just kept getting worse. And that was part of my walk, you know, that was part of my walk, to come to that place where that you have that peace that surpasses understanding. I walk in the Spirit. You know, I don't get harassed by police officers because I don't put that energy out. You know, whatever you fear, whatever you think about, whatever you put emotion to is what you're going to draw onto yourself. So when you see a police officer and you're putting on your brake and say, oh man, I hope I don't get pulled over, well, you probably are. But if you go by them and say, have a good day, officer, and keep on going. I mean, you know, you don't have to worry about anything. You're drawing everything onto yourself. And that's where it comes down to us being totally accountable and responsible for everything that we do. Not only what we do, but our being. Just our belief about ourselves, being free, being, you know, without restrictions on you. You know, you don't have to restrict yourself or anything. We do it to ourselves. We're our worst enemy. Individually, we're all our worst enemies.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. I just hope that there aren't too many people out there who get themselves into all sorts of trouble with trying to maneuver themselves through this process, because let me give you the other side of it, Angel, is with the various freeman movements that have been going on around Europe and America and whatnot, there unfortunately have been a lot of people who've ended themselves up in sanatoriums and jails, and that's a story that's not being told.
Well, I know you're right. There are people that have been beat up by the police officer, kidnapped by authority, you know, and everything. Yes, it's wrong. You know, I've got friends hiding because they were profiled. One of the nicest guys I ever met. I mean, I love him, man, but he gets profiled very easily. He likes tattoos, and he's got a lot of them. And he's at the same level I'm at, if not higher. You know, he's in the free man movement and everything, and he's a young man. Very, very smart. But yeah, he's hiding right now because of the fact that the system's corrupt. It's corrupt.
Absolutely. Now, if, for example, we are filing all our bits and pieces and they start sending police to our door, how do you suggest we deal with that?
Well, I don't see it happening for like myself even, but how we deal with it, I mean, give them what you understand. I mean, I'd say give them the official announcement. Let them see what the law's changed. Go down and start talking to people. You know, I wouldn't even take myself into a court. I refuse to, just because of the fact that they don't exist anymore.
They've got no jurisdiction. Their rulings mean nothing anyway.
Right, they're out of business. They've been bankrupt. They've been foreclosed upon. And so if we go in there and play their little games, you know, just do it by mail if you have to. Do it by taking a statement and making a statement to them that I'm now operating under this law, and give them just a copy of the official announcement that came out on Christmas. Let them do the research as to if it's lawful or not. Put your thumbprint on it and say, here's my thumbprint, and there's my title, you know, who I am, what I go by. But you've got to remember, everything that they do, it's your straw man they're talking about. They're talking about your birth certificate. They're talking about that corporation, and those corporations no longer exist. So when you go into a court, you are not that corporation. You are not that all caps name that you've been given on your driver's license, on your social security cards, or your retirement benefits, or your anything that you do. If you look at almost every bill you got and things that we do, it's all caps. Everything is all caps. That's your corporation. And so when you go into a court and you say, are you so-and-so? Yes, I'm him. No, you're not. You're saying you're that birth certificate, so you now put yourself as that birth certificate, and they've got control over it. They own it. See, they don't exist anymore. They no longer exist. It's been all taken down by the One People's Public Trust. Okay, there's no more straw men. There's no more of anybody stealing the funds. Because I even heard Heather say, the banks are crying out, the governments are crying out, One People's Public Trust, we need some money. Won't you work with us? And Heather and the trustees say, well, no, the people haven't spoken yet.
So people,
No, we're not-
hold on, Angel, that is big. Can I just backtrack there? Because you're telling me that the
Sure.
banks and stuff have actually been in touch with Heather asking to lend money from them.
Been in touch with the trustees to release funds. Yeah, they don't have them. Everything's a show. Everything's a facade. It doesn't exist. And that's a hard thing to get, because I said that to people, but I'm understanding it. I understand it. They don't have any authority. There's no authority. So even if they throw you in jail, guess what? You're probably going to get out soon. Because once this thing comes global and it starts hitting it, I think we should all be in the streets. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
But there again, it might be done by stealth. It might be done one at a time as we keep coming in, one at a time over the next couple weeks as we see people coming in.
Angel, can I just stop you there? We have some questions coming in and we are running out of time, and I just quickly want to get to them. Sorry, Richard.
One of the questions is, going back on the being arrested, if the military, because obviously they're still going to try and attack what we're trying to achieve here, can we foreclose the military, is the question being asked on the chat. Can we actually go to the military and say, listen, you're foreclosed, and piss off?
And can we take control of them by foreclosing on them?
Well, show them the paperwork. I mean, it's all out there on the One People's Public Trust, and it's getting out everywhere. But yeah, do it.
Okay, now the next question is, we've got
they're foreclosed upon.
We've got
Everything was a corporation.
we've got the International Courts of Justice here in Holland, obviously, which is like the biggie, the doyen court of the world kind of thing.
Right, right. And they're the ones doing this. Yeah, everything's being filed through them.
Great. Do we now take this paperwork to their doorstep and sort of nail it on their door?
They already know it exists. I mean, they know it is because it's all been filed through them. I mean, I've seen that name come up quite a bit.
So theoretically,
I would say do what we do. Like you said, put it out to everybody. Let everybody know. Let everybody know that we've been set free. However we do it. I'm getting ready to put a little. My friends told me this because I'm one of those shotgun people. I'll come into a place and I'll blah, and that's just been my style. I mean, I do it nicely, but I still will sometimes blow people away. So my friend said, why don't you get a business card? Get a card and put down what you want, get your point across, lead them to a site, lead them to more information. If that's all you can do. Because some people are receptive, some people are not.
now what do you reckon about, do we actually try to occupy some of these places and turn these courts to work for us? And I'll give you an example. Now, as I said, we've got the International Courts of Justice here in Holland. And of course, I'm one of the people who work on the International Tribunal into Crimes of the Church and State, which is a public tribunal that we've set up to try and hear the crimes against Canada, that we've spoken about already. Now, would you reckon a good thing to do would be, for example, walk into these courts and take them over and say, you've been foreclosed on, it's now owned by the people, and we're setting up, for example, the International Common Law Courts of Justice in these courts because your courts theoretically have no jurisdiction.
Well, why don't we just ignore them? Why don't we just, you do that, you're going to have the police called, you're going to have whoever else going to come in because you've just now occupied their buildings that they think they own. But why not just ignore them and let them just go down because they're not being funded anymore?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Why not start, your own court in your own house? I mean, there's many ways to set up common law courts and all of that. And it's being done all over America. And it's being done around the rest of the world. I mean, that's where the indictments came from, was like Indonesia and all against 9/11, against George Bush and all the people involved in the 9/11, the towers coming down. I mean, that was in Indonesia or somewhere, wasn't it? Where they had a common law court and they found these people guilty of these crimes against humanity. I mean, it wasn't done in the U.S.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what they went to jail for. I mean, you saw that, didn't you? I mean, I understood, and this is coming from D. You remember on Removing the Shackles last month?
Yeah.
That we had a lot of people. They said 503, this is the news on the internet, but 503 senators, congressmen, and governors in America were arrested under a catch and release program. And they said 77 of them were taken away to the International Courts of Justice for sentencing. And when did all these, that was December 4th. When did George Bush Sr. get sick? December 5th. When did Hillary kind of get sick? December 5th. Somewhere around there. I mean, all of a sudden these people disappeared. Where's Henry Kissinger? I mean, where's all these people that I know are probably people that were, part of that whole thing, part of that crime against the people, So
questions.
I say ignore them. We could. I mean, I want to go talk to the sheriffs. I understand the sheriffs, are in America, the sheriff is the highest law in the land. And they're peace officers, And why not start with the sheriff? Your top official, educate him first. Because he's going to protect you from the banks coming in to steal your home. If you've changed his heart, if you've got him to see the light, start with that man who's in authority over people, or who thinks they are in authority over people. Start with them and get them on your side. Stuff like that. And then educate others. I've been, going around and just educating people. That's all you can do. I mean, they're either going to accept it or they're not, and that's up to them. But at least let them know that this has happened. And wish them a Merry Christmas on your way out. You got a great gift, bro. Merry Christmas.
All right, now what about, Angel, all these people who now theoretically who are homeless, okay? When is the system going to start working in favor of them? Like, how do we start getting these people into properties which will still potentially you need to pay rent for? As you say, you still need to pay rent. Let's look at it on a practical level.
I wish I could answer you and say, do it now.
Yeah.
but let's wait for these CVACs to get, where we can access the value. Which is less than 2 weeks away, people. We can still, go out and be and do and let people know what's going on. Get involved in the public, forum on this. Go in and educate people. And that's why I did that presentation. I've got it out on Skype. It has almost 39,000 hits on it, and that's just been since I created it, a month. And it's got 39,000 people that have downloaded it and seen it, and it's on all kinds of blogs and everywhere. I mean, it's blowing and going. And people it's been translated into German. I've got the masters out there. If you want to go get the master file, you can translate it and everything. It's a tool. All this is a tool to educate others at a level that they can understand what's going on. And you can send it to them through email. You could take it to their house and do a presentation. I set it up so you could do a professional presentation, a church. Get up and do it. And if you can't answer the questions, there's 5-6 pages of references on there. Just tell them, hey, do the research. Here's the link. Go online and do the research. Educate yourself. And that's what I tell a lot of people. That's my saying. Educate yourselves. You can give them so much, but when they want more and they're hungry, then eat. Get online, do the research, eat some more. and go and be and do. And when would we get these people off the street? I think once we get access to having our value, to where we can use it, our value in the current system. But I don't see us supporting the systems. I mean, yeah, I see us going and supporting those people we want to support, and if it's through, using our funds that we have access to in the trust, or if it's doing bartering, basically, we don't have any need for a currency the way I see it. But until we get that transition fully done around all the world, it's going to be. It's got to exist and coexist with us until it's all down.
Wow. This is huge, Angel, and you know what? I'm so excited. I really hope we see something coming and manifesting positively, and just in a way that we can use this to stop those who are suffering and in the most desperate need, and increase and improve the quality of their lives, because this is where this kind of change will be most beneficial. Yes, there's people like you and me who, we've been enslaved by the system, but ultimately those who are dying sick and hungry are the ones that need to benefit the most. And when I see them benefiting, then I know that we have made a change. I don't necessarily feel that it's just going to be for those people who can say, for example, access the internet. It needs to be for all.
Well, my dream, I like to travel and I love people. The last time I went to Belize a few years ago, it was the first time I said to myself, I'm not getting in the hotel. I'm not going to support the corporations. And I went down and got a truck, got something to ride in. And as I was leaving the airport, I asked the night before for a guide. I went down there the next day. At the airport, as I was getting in my car, guy backs in behind me. His name was Lynn. He said, "Can I catch a ride with you down the road?" I said, "Sure, man." He gets in the car. I start asking the questions. Finally, I said, "Hey, let me throw this by you, bro." I said, what if I come to your place and stay with you? I said, I'll feed you, I'll put money in your house, and you be my guide for the week. He said, okay. I pulled over, I said, you drive. And I had been saying for about 6 months at that time that I'm at the place in my life where I'm ready to go live on the beach in Belize in a tiki hut, okay? Because that's just where I'm at. And my first night in Belize, I literally slept on the beach, down on the peninsula. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And met a lot of cool people, and I had a great time, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? That's exactly the sort of thing I'd love to do. I've always wanted to live in a little bamboo hut on the beach. That's, my ideal life, to be honest.
Sure. Me too. But be and do, okay? You asked the question, how do we help those people? Well, if we have access to our funds, if we have access to our wealth, then go help them. You know, one of my plans, I want to get involved in the free energy. And I want to live in Belize. You know, I'm going to make my home there. But I'm going to get involved in that. I'm going to put my funds towards manufacturing, help other people get into the trust, let them do what they want to do, what they have a heart for, and then I'm going to distribute this as I travel. I'm going to set up free energy for people. I'm going to go into communities and give them this free energy technology. Because, the wealth is all of ours. You know, and if you've got unlimited wealth, and it's not unlimited, but we've got wealth, which we can go do what we're going to do to help others. And then when you give somebody electricity and they can have a better quality and standard of living, then you also start educating them on their access to the public trust. And boom, all of a sudden, there they are. Okay, they've got it. Access to the trust. I mean, that's what we're talking about, and it's going to be one person at a time. That's the way I see it. Unless we have the government officials stand up, not be afraid. I'm sure the people, I have nothing against anybody, what they've done. I forgive everybody. And I see everybody as myself anyway. We're all one. Okay? We've all been deceived. Every person on the planet's been deceived. We've been lied to. We've been manipulated and controlled. But now, no more. No more, because the law is even on our side that says, no more. You can't violate this property, this sovereign property that I am. This is my property. You can't kidnap it. You can't hurt it. You stay away. And defend yourself if you have to. Hopefully you don't. I've never had to defend myself in a fight or anything. I've been in situations where I thought I was going to get hurt, but, I'm the light. I'm the source. And I didn't allow that fear to get in me. I could feel the energy of fear, but I didn't allow it to penetrate me. And I kept that light shining. And when you keep the light on, fear will leave you. Evil will leave you.
That is
it
beautiful.
won't even exist in your light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Angel, I've got some questions coming in here.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
They're predominantly about the practical standpoint. They're afraid this might still take years and years before everybody is ready to listen to what we've said and actually implement these new currency. Because not everybody is awake enough yet to actually accept that, okay, we're going to get rid of money and now we're going to be using digital units.
Well, but see, that's what you're saying. Eventually it's going to have to come out. Okay, and people are going to continue using the funds as long as the funds are available because we got currency, But if all these currencies have been made unlawful, okay, even though they're still worth value because we place value on them and the system place values on it, but it's not worth anything but the paper it's written on. Okay, so we who are awake and we who decide to become part of the CVAX, of the new governance, of the new paradigm of living, of self-government, of self-governing yourselves, you'll be able to do whatever you want. You'll be able to go wherever you want. Be that light. Be that source. Be that one. Even if it's just working with one person at a time. Yes, might take a couple of years. Might take 2 to 3 years before everything finally gets done. But I don't think so. I think once it gets going and once everybody understands and once we have the government officials coming out and coming clean on it, then it could happen very rapidly, in a flash, in a twinkling of the eye. To most people.
Wow. Okay. Wow, Angel, this is a lot to get out to people, and I think we don't have an easy task ahead trying to sort of educate and orientate people to what has really happened, because I just don't think that people can understand the gravitas and the magnitude that yes, guess what, guys, we are in fact free, and then there comes a question: now that we're free, what is it that we do with that freedom?
Right. Well, be and do. Just live. I mean, what gets me so excited is just to be able to go and not worry about anything. Yeah, you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, when this happens, when we turn these things on, and this is what I'm seeing and hoping for and understanding, but when it happens, we'll all be able to go and set ourselves up and be free. I mean, totally free financially, and go be and do what you want to do. Live your life. Just live. If you don't like your job, quit your job. Go do what you want to do that you really enjoy doing. I've been saying for years, I've been wanting to get into public speaking, and look where I'm at.
Yeah.
And this has come up fast. I mean, this is my time. I took off, I've been off 22 months and really just kind of chilling, reading, studying. I've read so much, I've learned a lot about common law and other things, and I put it into practice. I put it into practice. I'm a doer, not a speaker only.
Sure.
And do we make mistakes? Yeah, I've made mistakes. But so what? We're allowed to make mistakes. Even in this, even with this, we're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed, we're transitioning the whole world. It's us. We are the change. So individually be that change. And shine your light. Be happy. I mean, man, how can we not be happy? We're going to be totally free. Totally, totally free. Nobody's going to be able to come against you ever again. And nobody will. I see eventually.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you know what? If I'm totally free, you know what I want to do? I want to teach. I really want to educate people, and I want to spend more time making documentaries and hopefully have the resources to do it. Because until now, I've had such limited resources. I've been limited with what I can do.
Absolutely. Me too. Me too. Yeah, I've done what I've done with what I've done it with.
Yeah, exactly. Angel, we are coming up towards the end of the show, but I just want to say to you, thank you very, very much for all the information you shared with us. It has been just one of the most enlightening conversations I've absolutely ever had, and we have been inundated with the chat forum, which has been busy chatting to everybody, and we've had
it's gone nuts.
Yeah, positive response. We've had a huge audience from all over the world, and I think everybody is just hoping that this could be the real thing. Let's hope that this is not a false start. Let's hope that we are not setting ourselves up for a massive fall or deception in some way. And let's just pray that this genuinely is the real thing and we are going to get there, because I think we're all just so sick of the in-between. Sure. We know the truth, but we can't quite get there. I've had enough myself.
Oh, me too. But yeah, this is the real thing. And walk in that knowing that this is the real thing. I mean, I know it is. And just with the confidence that I have listening to Heather and listening to everything that's been going on and seeing the actual documentation itself showing where we're free. I mean, and what they've done, they've got that AG report out there that shows all the corruption that they had found and everything. And, everything is out there on the One People's Public Trust website. And then just to throw in for myself, Angelucci, ANGELLUCCI.wordpress.com is my blog, and I've been doing nothing but this, One People's Public Trust, and also on Facebook, Angel Lucci. But, stay in touch, get on the blogs, listen to your show, listen to other people's shows, and get the information out to people. And if they're not interested, then just go on. Leave them with something and go on. I mean, you can't make them. You can't force people to do anything.
Yeah, good advice.
But we can do what we want to do. I'm going to go live free. I'm going to travel Europe. I'm going to be talking to people, and I'm going to live in my life. And I'm going to do it without going to the big hotels and everything. I mean, I'm going to stay with people. I'm going to meet my brothers and sisters around the world, because we're all family. We're all related.
Angel, that's beautiful. And we look forward to having you here.
Oh, I will. Yeah, that's one of the first places I want to go.
I'm sure.
You'd love it here.
Is that Amsterdam?
Yeah.
I'll take you to all the places you need to go.
Yes, we'll take you to all the good places. All right, listen, I'm going to...
I always say Fort Worth. I've lived in a lot of cities in Fort Worth, but I love Fort Worth. The people here are real people.
Yeah. I've traveled a lot in the States, and I must say I enjoyed the American culture when I was there. I'm sorry it's got such a bad rap over the years.
It does have a bad rap, and we're not bad. It's just our government's bad. And not anymore. Our government doesn't even exist.
Yeah, no, theoretically, neither does the Dutch government. And you know what's interesting, Angel, is we actually just had the Dutch Queen stepping down in the last week. And what's interesting is it was her great-great-grandfather, who was William of Orange, who signed the Central Bank of England into being, which theoretically was the first central bank outside of Rome.
Wow.
So,
well, see, all those banks have been foreclosed upon, even the Vatican Bank and everything. I understand they're hurting right now financially, and the Italy's coming against them and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things going on around the world.
I tell you, I'm so happy to hear, and it would be nice to finally feel that the power is in the hands of the people and that we are finally getting somewhere.
It is fully, and all we have to do is take our position and believe that.
Yeah. Great advice. All right, Angel, I'm going to go to one last question.
One final question is, we actually discussed on the forum how we're going to take back all the public news stations and just start broadcasting this. And they all want to know if he's got any ideas on how we could take those stations back.
That's a good question. Any comments, Angel?
Well, that's one thing I've been trying to get a hold of, like some of the local talk radio stations, to maybe try to get on their show, because that's how you're going to have to do it, I think, is just one person at a time. And the same with television newspapers. Why not put ads in your newspaper? Put stuff in the newspaper. Put it in, try to get on the evening news. Sometimes they've got community programs that they do. They go out to the community to talk to people. Well, see if they've got enough guts to put it on, to talk to you and put it on, let people know. I mean, there's more and more people standing up. Even here in this country, I saw a video where these people were kicked out of their homes. They've been in it all their lives. Well, the people in the community got back together. They took down the sign and everything and put the people back in their house. And when the police and everybody showed up, they all stood their ground. They all drove off. Police drove off, everybody. They said, okay. And they left. And so, see, sometimes it just takes the people,
Yeah, absolutely. Coming together and working together.
And be kind. Be kind to one another. I mean, don't get ugly. You don't have to yell at people. You don't have to be ugly. Just show love. Share love. Wake them up. Teach them the truth.
Yes, indeed. Great words. Angel, I think we're going to leave it there for this evening. And I just want to say to you, thank you very much. I'm sorry we couldn't keep Heather on with us longer, but I can't imagine the connection isn't that great in Morocco. But an absolute honour and a privilege to have you joining us. And
well, I'm honored that you got a hold of me, Mel V, and even, called me. And yes, this is my first radio interview. And, I'm not even nervous. Brenda was asking me, she says, aren't you nervous? I said, about what?
No, when I spoke to you first time off, I thought, great voice, comes across really well. I definitely want to speak to him, because the problem I found with listening to all the other radio shows is, because I actually have a really good knowledge of law and understanding of common law, so I followed along very well. But what I know is, for example, my South African listeners who are not that clued up, because you haven't spent as much study time looking at this. I wanted to put this across them, what this really means, not in mumbo jumbo, but like what actually it means. So that's the whole point of getting yourself on, so that we could explain that and discuss this in more lengthy detail. And ask, that's why I went for the specific questions about the practicalities here on ground level, and how we see this panning out. And you know what? Sounds great. Let's hope we can make this work.
I think we will. I don't have the hope. I know we are. We are going to make it work. But get down to the grassroots level. Start getting with groups. I'm not a member, but I know a lot of people in Normal, and they're having a big function coming up next weekend, and I asked them if I could speak to them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Because I talked to the ones that were there, but I mean, go to that level, go to the grassroots level, go to businesses, go knock on doors and go into businesses and talk to them. Small businesses, start with small businesses first. But let them know, send them in the right direction so they can educate themselves, and we really are free. And in a few more days, and in just less than 2 weeks, hopefully we're going to have the cure, which will be access to our value, to our lawful money, to do the things to change this world. And let the old system go. I wouldn't even go harass them. Just stop participating. Walk away.
Absolutely.
They'll eventually collapse. They'll eventually go away.
Yeah, for sure.
And there again, I think once this officially gets announced, I think that's where we have the backing of the military. I know in this country we do. That the military is on the side of the people right now. That's what I understand. So when it comes down to it, eventually the military is going to come in and say, okay, guys, system's changing. Yeah. It ain't going to be the way it always been. The people are in charge. So do not harass that individual, and don't harass that individual, don't harass that individual.
Well, I'd like to think we get to we could get to a place where we no longer need such a thing as military.
Wouldn't that be nice? I hope so. I hope so too.
Angel, we must be off and leave it there. We're coming up to the end of the show, but I just want to say what an honor and a privilege to speak to you. We will speak to you again very soon, and we will do more of this because I believe it's necessary.
All right. And as I learn more, I'll be better able to answer more questions.
Fantastic. Look forward to it. Okay. Brilliant. Thanks, Angel. God bless. Take care.
And God bless y'all.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.